This story is titled, Nobody Breaks Up With Me. I dumped my girlfriend after she stopped acting like my girlfriend, so she lost it and paid her best friend to frame me as the cheater. What I found out later is why I went nuclear. So this dude's girlfriend paid her best friend $100, cash, in a Starbucks parking lot, to seduce him at a wing spot. And honestly, that's not even the wildest part. This story goes places I genuinely didn't think a singing lesson could take us. He starts off by saying, "Hey Reddit, I'm 27 male, and I work in project management at a mid-sized construction firm. I'm the kind of dude who just handles things. No announcements, no speeches. I just get stuff done and move on. I'd been dating this girl, I'm gonna call her Jenna, for about a year and a half. Met her through a mutual friend at a 4th of July cookout. She was cute, seemed chill, laughed at my jokes. We moved in together around the 10-month mark. Nothing crazy, regular 2-bedroom apartment, decent part of town, split everything, had a shared Google Calendar for bills. It was one of those relationships where you don't have to try hard, you know? You just hang out with someone and it works. About 4 months before everything goes sideways, Jenna decides she wants to take singing lessons. Cool, fine, I don't care. I'm not the type of dude who tells his girl she can't have hobbies. She signs up at some local music studio. 2 sessions a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I drove her to the first one because her car was in the shop getting new brakes. Didn't think anything of it. First couple weeks were totally normal. She'd come home humming, practicing scales in the shower, watching YouTube tutorials about vocal warm-ups. Honestly, it was kind of cute. I told her she sounded good a few times. Meant it. She had a decent voice. Nothing record deal worthy, but she could hold a tune. Then the sticky notes started. Bathroom mirror, fridge, laptop, car dashboard, inside of the front door. Our apartment looked like it got attacked by a motivational speaker with an Office Depot addiction. You are a queen. Act like it. Boss babe energy only. The universe has big plans for you, queen. She joined a Facebook group called Women Who Rise and started posting about outgrowing people who no longer serve your journey. She'd known me 18 months and suddenly I was a phase she was graduating from. Like a freshman who takes one philosophy class and starts telling their parents they don't understand existence. At the same time, the singing lessons started running late. First 30 minutes, then an hour, then one Thursday. She didn't come home until almost midnight, and she got secretive. Phone angled away from me in bed like she was guarding state secrets. Stopped being affectionate. No more random kisses when she walked by. She'd sit in the chair across the room instead of next to me on the couch. If I asked, "You coming to bed?" it was always later. Later never came. Later was a myth. Later was Santa Claus for adults in dying relationships. Look, I'm not stupid. I'm not the type of dude who checks his girl's phone, tracks her location, goes through her DMs like some insecure stalker. That's not my style. But I notice stuff. I pay attention. And what I was noticing was a pattern that screamed something is really, really wrong here. I asked about the late lessons once. She said, "It's a class, babe. There are other people in it." That tone. That "don't question me, I'm evolving and you're not" tone. I nodded and went back to the TV. But in my head, none of this was adding up. Not even close. Here's the thing about me. I don't spiral. I don't start arguments at 2 in the morning. I don't beg for explanations. I just decide. Quietly. On my own. So I made my decision. Saturday morning, I woke up before her, made coffee, sat down at the kitchen table. Apartment was quiet except for the fridge humming, and I think the upstairs neighbors had their TV on, but whatever. Sunlight coming through the kitchen window, hitting 3 different sticky notes on the wall behind Jenna's empty chair. You deserve everything. I read all 3 while I waited. Sipped my coffee. Waited some more. Jenna came out around 9. Still half asleep. Robe untied. Green face mask cracking on her face. She didn't look at me. Went straight for the coffee. Walked right past me like I wasn't even there. I let her get the mug. Let her pour the coffee. Let her take the first sip. Then I just said it. "Hey, sit down for a sec. I think we should break up." Dead silence. Jenna froze. Coffee mug halfway to her mouth. Green face mask cracking. She was staring at me like I'd just told her the earth was shaped like a triangle. She sat down across from me, sticky notes glowing right behind her head, and started with the whole, "What? Why? Where is this coming from? Things have been so good." I didn't flinch. Sipped my coffee. Things haven't been good for a while, and I'd rather leave now than wait for it to blow up in my face. She kept crying, shaking shoulders, doing the whole can't catch her breath thing. And then, she said it. "Is this because of what I did?" I stopped. Everything in my brain just stopped. I set the mug down real slow. 5 words she didn't mean to say out loud. 5 words that took every suspicion, every gut feeling, every alarm that had been going off for months, and confirmed all of it at once. I felt it in my chest first. Then my jaw tightened. Then my hands went still on the table. My instincts were right the whole time. Not once did they steer me wrong. What did you do? You could see it on her face. She just outed herself. Nobody accused her of anything, and she still confessed. Speed ran her own downfall and didn't even realize it until the words were already out. She backpedaled. What? No, nothing. I didn't do anything. I just thought, why are you breaking up with me then? I just looked at her, calm, steady. That look a dad gives a kid standing next to a broken vase saying, I didn't do it. Jenna, what did you do? She tried to flip it. Are you seeing someone? Is there another girl? Who have you been talking to? Full deflection mode. Answering a question with like 14 questions. I didn't take the bait. Didn't get defensive. Didn't list evidence. Just leaned back and kept it simple. I don't do drama, Jenna. If you're not giving me what I expect from a partner and I'm not getting what I need, why are we together? That's it. That's the whole thing. I don't need a reason beyond that. Cold? Maybe. But it's the truth. In a world full of dudes who stick around hoping things magically fix themselves, I chose myself. That's not cold. That's smart. Jenna went from crying to furious in about 4 seconds, stood up, slammed her hands on the table hard enough to rattle both coffee mugs, and then she hit me with the most unhinged line I've ever heard in my life. Nobody breaks up with me. Nobody. We'll talk about this later when you've calmed down. When I've calmed down. Brother. I was sitting there drinking coffee like it was a regular Saturday morning. I was literally the most relaxed person in the room. But sure, Jenna, I need to calm down. She stormed off to the bedroom, slammed the door so hard a sticky note fell off the hallway wall, and I could hear her on the phone within seconds, crying to someone, probably her mom, probably already spinning the whole story into, he just attacked me out of nowhere. I don't know what happened. I've been such a good girlfriend. The victim version was already being written. I finished my coffee, rinsed the mug, set it in the drying rack, and started packing my stuff. Not in a rush, not panicking, just steady. Box by box, drawer by drawer. I'd already been mentally checked out for like 2 weeks at that point. This was just making it official. I folded my clothes, stacked my books, unplugged my PlayStation, took my good chef's knife, the one I'd bought myself, and left the cheap one she'd picked up from Target. Pause. All right, guys. I gotta stop here because what this man just did, this is the part most dudes get completely wrong. He didn't wait for proof. He didn't wait for a confession. He didn't camp out in a parking lot trying to catch her in the act like some sad detective in a bad movie. He paid attention to how the relationship felt, and when it felt wrong for long enough, he bounced. That's it. And look, I know some of y'all are sitting there like, but what if he was wrong? What if she wasn't cheating? Doesn't matter. Read that back. She wasn't showing up as a partner anymore. The affection was gone. The respect was gone. She was treating him like furniture. You don't need a screenshot of her in another dude's bed to know you deserve better than that. You're allowed to leave just because you want to. Back to the story. I moved my stuff to my boy Derek's guest room. No scene, no social media posts, no trash-talking Jenna, just quietly moved out and started looking for my own place. Clean break. Or at least that's what I thought. About 5 or 6 days later, I'm at a wing spot with my crew. Derek, Travis, and Mike. Thursday night. Game on. Wings. First time in months I actually felt like myself. Then this girl walks in. Alone. Scans the room slow. Not the way someone looks for a table. More like someone looking for a specific face. Her eyes land on our section. She adjusts her hair and walks over. Kayla. Jenna's friend. We'd met a handful of times at group hangouts. She stops at our table looking surprised. Eyebrows up, hand on her chest. Oh wow. Small world. Casual. Almost too casual. Like she rehearsed it in the car. Derek scooted over. She sat down, ordered a water, made small talk. Then the questions shifted. How are you holding up? After everything? I said I was fine. She glanced at her phone under the table. Quick, like checking a text she'd been waiting on. Are you seeing anyone yet? Way too personal. Way too soon. I gave a short answer and watched her check the phone again right after, like she was relaying my answers in real time. Something cold crawled up the back of my neck. Then she leaned in. Can I talk to you for a sec? Somewhere quieter? Travis gave the smallest head shake. I stood up anyway. Walked her toward the hallway near the restroom. She started saying something about wanting to check on me. I let her talk for like 30 seconds, then cut through it. Calm. Eye contact. Who put you up to this? Her face changed. Mouth opened. Closed. What? Nobody. I just ran into you. Kayla. She pulled her phone against her chest like a shield. I'm just trying to be a good friend. Whatever this is, I'm not doing it. Go home. She stood there 1 second, then walked out fast. Not running, but close. Didn't say goodbye. The door swung shut and the wing spot went back to being a wing spot. I sat back down, picked up a wing. Mike leaned over real low. That felt planned. I chewed, swallowed. Yep, nobody asked questions. We went back to the game. I was so incredibly wrong to think it ended there. 2 hours later, Derek's place. Brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed, phone rings. Jenna. My thumb hovered over decline for a few seconds, but curiosity won. Same thing that makes you slow down past a car wreck. Before I could even say hello, Jenna was screaming. Full volume. The kind of screaming that makes you hold the phone away from your ear and check if your eardrum is still intact. The neighbors probably thought someone was getting attacked. No, someone was being accused of something I absolutely did not do. How could you do this to me? You took her back to your place? Kayla told me everything. She said you were all over her at the wing spot. You had your hands on her waist. You bought her food all night. You walked her to her car. That's why you wanted the breakup. You're disgusting. I knew it. I always knew it. I stood there in Derek's bathroom, toothbrush hanging from my mouth, toothpaste dripping down my chin, staring at myself in the mirror, just trying to process what was happening. Like, my brain was trying to understand how a woman who personally set up a honey trap, planned it, funded it, sent it out the door, was now accusing me of falling into it. She planned the trap. It failed. And now she's mad I supposedly took the bait? On what planet does that make sense? I tried to get a word in. Jenna, I didn't... What are you... I literally rejected her. Jenna. But she wasn't listening. Full meltdown mode. She'd taken Kayla's failed mission, a mission she put together, and somehow flipped it into proof that I was cheating. Her own failed setup became her evidence. That's not just denial. That's a whole new level of delusional. She hung up. I texted once. I didn't touch Kayla. She showed up. I told her to leave. She left. Ask anyone who was there. 3 witnesses. Sent it. Put the phone down. Went to bed. Facts, not feelings. I was woken at 1:30 in the morning by something hitting the front of Derek's house. Small, like a pebble against siding. Then another. Then another. I looked out the window. Jenna, front yard, pajamas, throwing rocks at the house. She started with pebbles from the flower bed. Those just bounced off the siding. Then she moved up to rocks from the landscaping border. Those actually made noise. She was screaming the whole time. Come out here, face me like a man. You're a coward. You're a cheater. You ruined everything. I told her through the window to stop, to go home, that she was going to get herself in trouble. She responded by picking up a bigger rock. This woman was leveling up her ammo in real time like she was in a video game. She hit the door. She hit the windows. I called the non-emergency line. Then she kicked Derek's front porch light clean off its mount. Shattered. Glass everywhere across the steps. That's when I called 911. She was kicking the front door now, screaming that she was going to destroy everything I love. Full berserker mode. And then, right before the sirens hit the end of the street, she wound up with the biggest rock yet and launched it directly at the front steps. Direct hit. Derek's garden gnome. Ceramic shrapnel across the concrete. Head went one way. Body went another. Little fishing rod landed in the bushes. That gnome had been on those steps through 3 Halloweens, 2 blizzards, and a neighborhood dog that humped everything below knee height. Gone. Destroyed by a woman in pajama pants throwing rocks at a house that wasn't even hers. That's when Derek came out of his room in his boxers. He stared at the remains of his gnome on the front steps, then at me. Dead serious. Bro, she killed my gnome. 2 patrol cars showed up within about 8 minutes. By the time they got there, Jenna had run out of rocks and was sitting on the curb crying, mascara everywhere, looking like a raccoon that lost a fight with a sprinkler. Officers talked to everyone. Derek gave a very passionate eulogy for the garden gnome and insisted on filing a separate property damage report for the gnome, the porch light, and what he called preemptive emotional distress to the gnome's future descendants. Jenna tried the Damsel in Distress Act with the officers, but it's real hard to play victim when you're standing in someone else's front yard at 1:30 in the morning, surrounded by the rocks you just threw at their house. She was escorted home. No arrest, but I was advised to pursue a protective order. I filed a report, got everything documented. Pause. This part matters. He did not go outside. Think about how easy it would have been. She's in the yard at 1:30 a.m. screaming, throwing rocks, calling him a coward. Every part of you wants to match that energy. And that's exactly what she wanted. Because the second he steps outside and raises his voice, she calls the cops and says, he threatened me. Now he's the one with a report filed against him. That's the play. Every single time. He didn't fall for it. Stayed inside, called the police himself, and let them show up to find her throwing rocks at someone else's house. Paper trail, witnesses, reports. When this ends up in front of a judge, the question isn't who was louder. It's who has documentation. He does. She's got a pile of rocks and a dead gnome. Rest in peace, little buddy. Back to it. 3 quiet days. I found a new apartment, signed the lease, started moving in. Sleeping great, eating right, hitting the gym. That post-breakup clarity was hitting different. Felt lighter, like I'd been carrying dead weight for months, and didn't even realize how heavy it was until I finally put it down. Then Kayla called. Almost sent it to voicemail. But curiosity won again. Her voice was shaky. Not scared shaky, guilty shaky. There's a difference. She said she needed to talk. Said it was about Jenna. Said, "You need to hear this." Against my better judgment, I agreed. Public place, daytime, coffee shop, people everywhere. Kayla was already there when I showed up. Looked rough, eyes red, hands fidgeting. We sat down and she got right into it. Jenna had paid her $100, cash, Starbucks parking lot, like a drug deal, to go to that wing spot and hit on me. The plan was to flirt, get me to engage, maybe snap a photo of us looking cozy, and bring it back to Jenna as proof I was a cheater. That way Jenna could flip the whole story, play the victim, and never answer for her own stuff. $100. That's what my relationship was worth to Jenna. Couldn't even spring for 200. Discount manipulation, dollar store betrayal. Then Kayla dropped the real bomb. Jenna had been cheating on me for months, pretty much since the singing lessons started, maybe even a little before. With her vocal coach, some dude named Brandon. She paused there, took a shaky breath. He's not exactly. She trailed off, rubbed her face, started again. He thinks he's gonna be famous, like genuinely believes it. Does open mics at coffee shops where nobody's listening? I said nothing, just waited for the full picture. He drives a Volkswagen Jetta. Pause. With a bumper sticker. Longer pause. That says, "Music is my love language." I almost spit my coffee across the table. A Jetta. With a bumper sticker. A grown man who unironically puts a bumper sticker about music on a Volkswagen Jetta and thinks that's a personality. This is who she threw away a real relationship for. A dude whose entire identity was an acoustic guitar, a dream, and probably a SoundCloud account with 14 followers, 12 of which were bots. Brandon was the vocal coach who turned lessons into extra practice sessions that conveniently always ended around midnight. The whole queen empowerment sticky note phase? All Brandon. One of those dudes who tells women they're goddesses and the universe chose them for greatness. That fake deep garbage that works on people who confuse flattery with actual connection and compliments with commitment. Kayla said she'd known for a while but didn't say anything because Jenna was her best friend. Classic move. See something, say nothing, then feel guilty about it when everything blows up. But after the wing spot setup and watching Jenna throw rocks at a house while I just handled everything calmly, she couldn't carry it anymore. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gone to the wing spot. I took the money and I shouldn't have. But you didn't deserve any of it. None of it." I sat with all of that for a minute, processing it in real time. The singing lessons, the late nights, the changed passwords, the sticky notes, the midnight group dinners. Every red flag I'd noticed, every gut feeling, it all connected to one ugly truth. She wasn't finding herself. She was with some other dude the entire time and making me feel crazy for questioning it. And she had the nerve, the absolute nerve, to send her friend to frame me for cheating, to cover her own tracks, to protect her own lie. That's not just cheating. That's a whole operation, a conspiracy with a budget and a timeline. But I didn't lose it, didn't break down, just nodded slowly, said, "Appreciate you telling me," and drank my coffee. The cheating confirmation was just the receipt for a meal I'd already walked out on. It backed up every instinct I'd had, but it didn't change anything. Not one thing. I was already gone, already moving forward. Kayla asked me not to tell Jenna, she told me. I told her I had zero intention of ever speaking to Jenna again about anything, so her secret was safe by default. We went our separate ways. I went home, thought about it for maybe 15 minutes, then went to the gym, cooked dinner, and watched a documentary about deep sea fishing. Moved on, like an adult. 2 days later, Kayla called again. This time she was crying, hard. Said Jenna found out about the coffee shop meeting. Someone spotted us together and told her. Jenna was losing her mind, demanding a 3-way sit-down, threatening to destroy Kayla's reputation, tell everyone she was a backstabber, post stuff about her online. Kayla begged me to just do it so Jenna would leave her alone. I said no, flat out. I'm not doing a sit-down with my ex and the girl she paid to seduce me. That's not a conversation, that's a reality TV audition. Hard pass. Kayla kept pushing. I felt bad for her. Genuinely. But I also knew this was not my circus, and those were definitely not my monkeys. Then Kayla said the thing that changed the math. She's saying she's going to come to your apartment. She's been asking everyone for your new address. That got my attention. New apartment. Fresh start. Jenna didn't have the address. Or at least she shouldn't have. But I mean, I'd watch this woman throw rocks at a house at 1:30 in the morning and murder a garden gnome in cold blood. Tracking down an address was nothing for someone with that level of crazy. So I agreed. Not to a phone call, in person. All three of us. Same coffee shop, broad daylight, and if anything went sideways even a little bit, I was calling the police. Those were my terms. Pause. Bro. You were doing so good. You had the protective order paperwork basically warming up on your desk. You had 3 clean police reports. You were eating steak on Thursdays and watching fishing documentaries. Life was beautiful. And then this man said, yeah, sure, let me go sit down with my cheating ex and the girl she literally hired to set me up. That's like escaping a burning building and then going back inside because someone said the fire wants to talk things out. My guy, the coffee shop is not a courtroom. Nothing good has ever come from a 3-way sit-down at a coffee shop. Nothing. In the history of coffee shops. But fine. He went. Let's see how this plays out. Next afternoon. I walked in, Jenna and Kayla already seated. Not talking. The most uncomfortable silence I've ever walked into. Jenna, furious. Arms crossed, jaw clenched, leg bouncing like a jackhammer. Kayla, terrified. Eyes red. Hands wrapped around a coffee she hadn't touched. Shoulders pulled in like she was trying to disappear into the chair. The barista already had one hand near the phone. Even the dude with the MacBook in the corner lowered his screen to check out the tension. You could feel it in the room. Heavy. I sat down, didn't order anything. Just looked at both of them and waited. This wasn't my show. Kayla spoke first, trembling, voice cracking. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Looked at Jenna, looked away fast. Looked down at her hands wrapped around that untouched coffee cup. Then she started talking. She told Jenna, right there, face to face, that nothing happened at the wing spot, that I rejected her within minutes, that she'd been paid to go there. She kept stopping. I'm sorry. I know you're going to hate me for... She'd stop, wipe her eyes, push forward. She admitted the whole setup, the $100, the plan, all of it. Then she took a shaky breath, looked at Jenna one more time. Jenna's face was absolute stone, not a flicker, just ice. Kayla looked away and said the part that mattered. But I can't. Jenna, I can't keep. She stopped again, wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Started over. He deserves to know. About Brandon. About everything. Her voice cracked on everything. You've been cheating on him for months and then you sent me to frame him for cheating so you could play the victim. I tried to tell myself it wasn't that bad, but it is. It's insane. And I couldn't be part of it anymore. I felt sick about it. I'm sorry. I know you hate me, but he needed to hear it. The coffee shop went dead quiet. A guy at the next table lowered his newspaper. The barista stopped mid-pour. Jenna didn't yell. Not at first. She sat perfectly still for like 5 seconds, then turned to Kayla and said it real low and cold, somehow scarier than screaming. You have always been a jealous, backstabbing little snake. Always. Every guy I've ever been with, you've tried to get close to. You've been jealous of me since high school. Then she picked up her iced coffee, grande, oat milk, because of course, and threw it directly in Kayla's face. Full cup. Ice, liquid, everything. Kayla shrieked. The newspaper guy actually said, "Oh snap," out loud. The barista picked up the phone. Jenna went for Kayla's hair. 0 to World Star in 2 seconds flat. I moved fast. Got between them. Didn't touch Jenna. Smart. Just physically shielded Kayla and held my arms out as a wall. Jenna was swinging around me trying to reach Kayla, and Kayla was backing up into chairs, knocking over someone's laptop bag. Oat milk coffee dripping from her face onto the floor. I looked at both of them. Jenna with crazy eyes and balled fists. Kayla dripping oat milk and trembling like a wet chihuahua. And me, standing in the middle of a coffee shop, being the only sane person in a 3-person meeting I never wanted to be at in the first place. Both of you, listen, I'm done. I'm done with both of you. Do not call me. Do not text me. Do not show up anywhere near me. Either of you. If I hear from either one of you again, I'm going straight to the police. Not a threat. A promise. We're done here. I turned around and walked out. Didn't look back. Not once. Got in my truck, started the engine, and pulled out of the parking lot like I was leaving a regular Tuesday afternoon errand. The barista was on the phone. The newspaper guy was standing up. Someone had their phone out recording. I barely registered any of it. I was already gone. I made it about 7 blocks before something in my rear view caught my eye. Headlights, staying with me through a left turn. Could be nothing. I took another left. They followed. I took a right. They followed. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Not panic. Just awareness. Not one car. Two. Jenna's white Honda Civic with the cracked taillight she never fixed. And behind that, Kayla's silver Toyota Corolla with a sorority sticker on the back windshield. Both of them. Through every turn. These two women, who were literally trying to rip each other's hair out 15 minutes ago, were now united in following me home, like a two-car parade celebrating the death of common sense. Neither one using turn signals. My apartment complex came up on the right. I drove right past it. Didn't slow down. Didn't signal. Didn't even glance at the building. Because the last thing you want is two unhinged women knowing exactly where you lay your head at night. That slashed tires and cheater keyed into your hood just waiting to happen. I pulled into a well-lit gas station about half a mile past my place. Security cameras on every angle. Parked right under the tallest light pole. Both cars pulled in behind me. Engines running. Headlights on. Staring at me through their windshields like something out of a low-budget horror movie. I locked my doors, kept the engine running, and called 911. Gave the dispatcher both vehicles. Makes, models, colors, plate numbers. I'd memorized Jenna's plates months ago and grabbed Kayla's from the coffee shop lot earlier that day. Because I think ahead, 2 patrol cars, 10 minutes. My name was already in the system from the rock-throwing incident. The pattern was clear, and getting worse. Both women were told to leave right away. This time I didn't wait on the protective order. Monday morning, courthouse, filed against both of them. Jenna for ongoing harassment, stalking, property damage. Kayla because even though her intentions shifted, she'd been part of the original scheme and then followed me home, which crossed a real clear line. Both orders got granted. Temporary at first, then made permanent after neither Jenna nor Kayla showed up to fight them. Probably because whatever lawyer they talked to took one look at the police reports, the witness statements, and my records and said, yeah, you've got zero chance here. Or maybe they just didn't care enough to show up. Either way, same result. Legal boundaries, backed by law. Stay away or face the consequences. I changed my number, locked down social media, made everything private, blocked Jenna, Kayla, and every mutual who might serve as a pipeline back to me. Told friends and family the situation, so nobody could be used as a backdoor to reach me. My mom was furious. Not at me, at Jenna. She said, I always thought that girl smiled too much. Nobody's that happy all the time unless they're hiding something. Moms always know, man. Derek installed a Ring doorbell and 2 new garden gnomes, positioned on either side of the front steps like bouncers at a nightclub. Travis bought me a housewarming gift. Framed photo of the original gnome with the caption, Gone but not forgotten. Hangs in my living room to this day. Mike sent a text. King behavior. Proud of you, bro. That's what real friends do. They don't ask questions when you show up with boxes. They open the door and say, wings or pizza tonight? That's brotherhood. Now here's the part where I made my move. See, for about 2 weeks after the protective orders went through, Jenna had been running her mouth to literally everyone. Every mutual friend, every coworker, every person she'd ever met at a barbecue, telling them I was the cheater, that I was controlling, that she had to escape me. Full victim tour. She was posting vague stuff on social media. Some people show you who they really are, and healing from narcissistic abuse type posts. I know because 3 different people sent me screenshots without me even asking. She was building a whole story where she was the brave survivor, and I was the monster. Classic. I didn't respond, didn't post anything, didn't correct anyone, just let her talk. For 2 solid weeks, I let her absolutely bury herself in her own version of events. And the whole time I was just waiting. Then I did one thing. Derek pressed charges for the property damage, the porch light, the gnome, the damage to his siding. He'd already had the police report from that night, already had photos of everything, already had my witness statement and his own. I didn't even have to ask him. Honestly, he'd been wanting to do it since that night, but I told him to hold off. Now I told him go ahead. He went down to the courthouse on a Tuesday morning, filed the whole thing, and that kicked off a process that Jenna absolutely couldn't sweet-talk her way out of. But here's the part that actually mattered. Once the charges were filed, that created a court case. Public record. And once Jenna started getting calls about it, once her parents found out, once she had to actually get a lawyer, the mutuals started asking questions. Not to her. To me. Hey man, what actually happened? Jenna's saying one thing, but now I'm hearing about court stuff, one by one. Slow at first, then a bunch at once. I didn't argue, didn't explain, didn't give my side of the story. I just sent them the court records. The protective orders. Public record. The police reports from both incidents. Public record. Derek's criminal complaint with the itemized property damage. Public record. No commentary from me. No, see, I told you so. Just the documents. One message, one link. Done. And I sat back and watched the whole thing collapse on her like a house of cards in a wind tunnel. Because here's the thing. When you spend 2 weeks telling everyone your ex was the abuser, and then public court records come out showing you were the one throwing rocks at someone's house at 1:30 a.m., you were the one who got escorted home by police. You were the one who got protective orders filed against you, and you were the one catching criminal charges for property damage. That story you built, it doesn't just fall apart. It explodes. And everyone you told it to now knows you lied to their face. I didn't have to say a single word. The paperwork said it all. Every mutual who'd been giving me the side eye for 2 weeks suddenly went real quiet. A few of them texted me apologies. I didn't respond to those either. If you believed her without asking me first, we don't have anything to talk about. Jenna ended up having to pay Derek restitution for the porch light and the gnome. Had to take some kind of anger management class as part of a plea deal to knock it down from a misdemeanor. And the best part, the absolute best part, is that she did all of this to herself. Every single piece of evidence that destroyed her reputation was created by her own actions. I didn't make up anything. I didn't exaggerate anything. I just kept receipts and waited for the right moment to let them speak. One move. That's all it took. Everything else was just gravity. Last I heard, not because I was looking, just because news travels, Jenna and Brandon broke up like 3 weeks later. Turns out Brandon was also seeing someone else from the singing class. Some other girl who thought she was his special muse. The whole singing studio was basically a soap opera with vocal warm-ups. Brandon's SoundCloud? Still 14 followers. Still 12 bots. The dream lives on. I'm doing great now. New apartment, clean, quiet, no sticky notes anywhere except the one on my fridge that says, Steak Thursday, because I've got my priorities straight. Now, before I wrap up, OP dropped something in the comments that I can't stop thinking about. Remember how he mentioned he still had Jenna's mom's number saved in his phone? Well, she texted him. Last week, not Jenna. Her mother. Said she needs to talk to him about something important. And then she added, it's not about getting back together. Now your first instinct is okay. Jenna sent mommy to do the dirty work. Classic. But OP said something about the way it was worded felt different. Felt serious. Felt heavy. Like this wasn't a, please take my daughter back text. This was something else entirely. He hasn't responded yet. He's sitting on it. And that one line, it's not about getting back together, is keeping me up at night more than anything else in this entire story. Because if it's not about getting back together, then what on earth is it about? OP, whatever is in that message, we need the update. Get in these comments. Now, smash that like, subscribe, drop a comment. What would you have done? Share this with the friend who needs to hear it. You know who he is. Peace.